Thank you so much, Kim, for those really insightful reflections on the pillars of advanced practice. We have got lots of questions come in from the audience, and I'd just like to start with a question that we have from Andrew. So, Kim, there's a contemporary definition of non-medical consultant level practice.
Yes, there is. And I will read it to you if you like. It's a draft. It's about the 4 domains are necessary for enabling quality care at all levels of the health and social care system. Expertise in practice, which is the consultant's own profession, and expertise in strategic and enabling leadership, not management. Learning, developing, improving across the system, research and innovation as an embedded researcher. And this embraces the skill set for systems leadership aided by clinical credibility, underpinned by consultancy approaches which sustain quality. But I can also share with you the difference between consultant medical practice and consultant multi-professional practice. And I've worked with many different professions, including medical colleagues, and some of those medical colleagues tick all the boxes in terms of the pillars. But the main focus historically on medical practice has been on the practice rather than the other pillars, although increasingly the other pillars are being embraced. We would be arguing that multi-professional consultant practice embraces expertise in all of the pillars, and it's through the consultancy function that we enable quality by enabling others to be self-sufficient in their problem solving. So it's an approach that develops others, not one that provides expert opinion and then that is expected to be implemented, but one that develops insights with people and then helps them to implement and evaluate them. Hope that helps.
Thank you, Kim. That was a really comprehensive reply. We've got a question in from Helen. What are your opinions on the supported e-portfolio currently being launched and rolled out?
Yes, so I was involved with the e-portfolio evaluation of advanced practice, and now we're looking to develop an e-portfolio for consultant practice. That's a key enabler now. There are a small number of programs that will be starting in September that are focused on much more flexible approaches to developing evidence of impact, where people will be encouraged to get either academic accreditation or to compile a portfolio of impact that they would use with the Advancing Practice Centre when that is ready. So yes, I would always encourage people to comprise a portfolio of evidence. Most universities are able to accredit against some of the pillars, against open modules at doctoral level for consultant practice. And I would say at doctoral level, what we mean is not undertaking a PhD, although there are consultants who have and would want to do that. Others it would need to demonstrate doctoral level thinking, and that is the top of Bloom's taxonomy. If you're familiar with that, it's about the ability to be able to synthesize multiple sources of evidence together and to be incredibly creative with that. So that's open to everybody who is able to demonstrate all the domains in the pillars.
Thank you. There's another question here from Brian. How do we incorporate collaborative working whilst thinking about co-production?
Well, I think there's little ways that we can do that. Personally, I've always done that for every project I've done since I started my doctoral research in the 90s when I operationalised the consultant nurse role in the nursing development unit, which was a critical care unit. And I developed the concept of values clarification. So I use that now all of the time for any piece of work, any project, however big or small, to start off a co-creation, collaborative approach where everybody's voice counts, and where you develop your shared purpose, you develop the enablers, you identify the activities, you identify the impacts, and that works really, really well. The challenge is ensuring that it's implemented once it's been developed, and then there's a joint commitment to that. So it's not difficult to do. to do in practice, and currently I'm working on co-creating a capability framework, a single capability framework around people and citizens with eye conditions, drawing on all of the professions, and that's used to start the development of that capability framework to transform care and services across the Eastern region. So it's used in a big way and a small way. And there were two projects I never used it on. I paid the price for it because I wasn't clear on the purpose, nor were all of my colleagues, and we were really confused on what our deliverables were and what the impact was. So I learnt my lesson there, and I've always used it ever since.
Thank you for that, Kim. We've got a question from Gemma. Are there opportunities to explore educators' experiences and understanding through phenomenological research?
Yes, absolutely key. I didn't mention in my presentation about the contribution of Habermas. Now, Habermas was very influential on my thinking about what counts as knowledge, and he argues that there are three types of knowledge. There is the technical knowledge, much of which we'll be familiar with because that comes from the randomized control trials and underpins some of the technical expertise we have. There's the practical knowledge, which would include understanding the lived experience of people, whether those are our patients, citizens, or students. So phenomenology comes in. But it's not enough to have the technical knowledge and understand the lived experience unless you can change things. And that's where the critical knowledge comes in, of critical participatory action research, to be able to work with those insights, to change the system, to enable what matters to people to be acted upon. So yes, I'm absolutely clear that educators' experiences and understanding phenomenological research would be key to all of our understanding, because all types of knowledge and all types of research complement each other and are needed.
Oh, thank you. I think we've got time for one last quick question, and there's a question from Paul. Co-production sounds so important, but usually takes more than normal research. So how will our advanced practitioners use this approach more when they're already bursting to the seams for time?
Yeah. I think the sentiment of it can be done on a colleague to colleague basis. So just asking the right sort of questions that we heard this morning from Deborah, about asking the questions that enable other people to contribute and participate of you. So, what do you think is important? How can we manage this situation? Co-production is a very technical word, and personally I don't like it. I prefer to use co-creation. But even using tools like emotional touch points with our patients and our students and our staff. They take 10 minutes to use, and just to embed those very simply, maybe every couple of weeks, or even at the end of a patient experience, to find out what they found was enabling and what they found was challenging, helps us to co-create. So I think we can do that on a one-to-one basis. We can help others to do it, and we can do it on a big scale as well. That does take more time and more organization, but it's amazing what you can do in a virtual conference like this. So I used to spend 3 hours, actually co-creating all of these things in a face-to-face workforce, and now I found that you can actually do it in 1.5 hours in a virtual phenomena and still enable everybody's voice to be heard. It's harder and you have to learn new things, but if you're committed, then you can find a way, and it may only be a couple of minutes to start
Thank
the
you, Kim.
journey.
So creative ways of being able to do that. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was very insightful, and I'm sure we've all thoroughly enjoyed it. There's been lots of questions and we've not been able to get through them all, but we will do out with this session. So thank you. I'm going to pass over to Colette now. She's going to close. So thank you very much, Kim.